2002, you and other administration lawyers visited Guantanamo Bay. A JAG attorney in Guantanamo, Diane Beaver, is quoted in a Vanity Fair article as saying that the message from you and the other visitors was, do whatever needed to be done. And just weeks after that visit, interrogators at Guantanamo Bay began developing a far harsher interrogation program than they had ever used before. Did you visit Guantanamo Bay in September of 2002, as has been reported?
I don't remember the exact date, but I went there a number of times.
Well, do you recall going to Guantanamo Bay around that time?
I really don't remember the dates, ma'am, but I remember going in the
How many times have you did you go to Guantanamo Bay during that period?
During that, well, I'm not sure what period you're describing. I'd say I've probably been to Guantanamo, I guess, maybe 5 times. First time would have been years ago, which isn't relevant to this, when I worked at the Department of Defense. And then I've probably been, I would guess, 3 or 4.
On one of those trips, did you meet with JAG attorneys?
I didn't recall it. I remember when Ms. Beaver, Colonel Beaver, who was referenced, I think, in Mr. Sand's Vanity Fair article. I did not remember meeting her there. The only time I remember meeting her is over at the Office of General Counsel of the Department of Defense many years later.
What generally prompted your trips to Guantanamo Bay when you made them?
Invited by the Department of Defense to go and accepted. I thought it would be good to go and see what they were doing to implement the decisions made in January and February at the White House to have detainees held there by the Department of Defense.
Did you have any discussions on those trips about interrogation methods?
I don't know about methods. I would say we probably did, only in this sense I can remember, and I'm not sure it's this particular trip, at least on some of the trips, and it may have,
on any of the trips.
Yes, that they would show us an interrogation room with no one in it, so you could see what the room looked like, and then separately look through, and I assume, and I don't know, that the person being interrogated and the interrogator couldn't see us. In other words, like a one-way mirror kind of setup where you could see into that. So having done that, I'm sure they must have discussed...
on any of the trips, did you discuss interrogation methods that were directly referenced in the memo that we've been discussing here at this hearing?
I'm not actually sure I remember this memo having methods discussed in it, frankly.
Did you discuss specific types of interrogation methods that interrogators should use while at Guantanamo Bay on the detainees?
I don't recall doing that, no.
That means you didn't, or you don't recall doing it?
It means I don't recall doing it, as I said.
Well, it's hard to fathom that you would not have a recollection on specific conversations about types of interrogation methods as opposed to just generally talking about interrogation.
Is there a question pending, ma'am?
The question is, I don't believe that you don't recall whether you discussed specific interrogation methods. So I'll ask you again. Did you discuss specific interrogation methods on any of your trips to Guantanamo Bay with people who would be administering the interrogation?
And as I said to you, I don't recall. Let me be clear to you that there are 2 different things that may be helpful to you in asking your questions. The Department of Defense interrogation,
I really don't need
CIA
assistance in asking my questions.
Well, the CIA program, and you'll find when you question me, the participation with respect to the CIA program is more extensive than the DOD program. And I wouldn't find it so unusual that I don't recall the particular details.
Except that interrogation, there is an accusation that interrogation methods went far beyond and up to and past torture following your visits to Guantanamo Bay. So I'm trying to get a sense of whether you actually went there, encouraged those specific interrogation methods, and whether they crossed the line.
Yes,
so
I did not.
I'm pretty clear on why I'm asking you the questions and which one I'm asking you. On one of the trips that you took, it was weeks after the August 1st, 2002 interrogation memo was issued by the Office of Legal Counsel. Did you have any discussions on that trip about that recent Department of Justice legal advice on interrogations? Did you ever discuss the memo which offered legal advice on interrogations with anyone at Guantanamo Bay on any of your trips there?
I'm fairly certain, I won't be absolute, but fairly certain that I did not.
That you did not ever
discuss this August 1st, 2002 legal opinion to the Counsel of the President from the Department of Justice.
So you deny the suggestion in the Vanity Fair report that you encouraged Guantanamo Bay interrogators to do whatever needed to be done?
Yes, I do deny that.
You do deny that?
Yes, that quote is wrong.
Okay. Did you observe an interrogation during the trip, as has been reported? Or did
I
you,
think we probably did, as I described earlier.
and why did you observe an interrogation?
The Department of Defense took us around to show us the camp and what was going on, showed us that. Now, I emphasize, I'm not sure it's the particular September 2002 trip you're describing, but on at least several of those trips.
What did you observe?
Observe a detainee in, I believe, an orange jumpsuit sitting in a chair.
What kind of interrogation was used?
They were talking to him during the brief time that we went.
Simply just conversation? No other method
During the
but
brief time that
conversation?
we were there, yes. And I don't recall that we could actually hear what was being said. You could look and see mouths moving. I inferred that there was communication going on.